What I want to do now is close off that end and create the articulation between the end of the rib, or the start of the rib, I guess the proximal end of the rib, and its articulation there with the vertebral bodies, the inferior and superior costal facets. I'm going to raise that up a little bit so it's a little closer. This rib cage that I use as my guide is in my way, so I'm going to put it on. It's a template, so I can see through it easily. Um, I think I'm okay. I might bring this forward just a little bit, but when I go to select this, you notice there's a couple problems. Well, one problem right away is um, I have an edge here, but I have seven. I think one, two, three, four, five, six, seven edges. So I can't get a nice smooth, even edge, and I'm going to need to do something about that because I want to close that face. So let's try closing the face. I can't close the face because I need one more edge. So let's first insert an edge here. Let's say Object, go under Mesh Tools, Insert Edge Loop, and I'm going to put an edge right there. And then I'm going to hit the R key to scale it. I'm going to scale it just a little bit smaller in all dimensions, and then raise it up just a touch. So what that's going to do is make essentially a rail there. See, now I've got this rounder top and I have an extra edge. So when I say edge, select those edges. Okay, I now have that whole. I'm going to hide my vertebra for a second because they're making it difficult to see right now. Okay, so I'm in the number one mode, and I've got that edge loop that surrounds that hole at the end of the rib. I'm going to mesh, fill hole. Then I'm going to get my multi-cut tool and try to go from there to there. Say return, go from there to there, and say return. See what happens? It messed me up. They look like it's returning fine, but it's not. It's putting edges over there. So let's do a different tool. Let's go get the vertex. Select that vertex and that vertex. Those are the two I want. And under Edit Mesh, let's just say Connect. That vertex and that vertex. Letter G to repeat the connect. So now I have at least an edge there. And I want to make sure it's all I got. Okay. And I want to make sure that's the only edge I have selected. Okay. And I'm going to change my world to component so I can pull that out a little bit. Okay, so this is going to form to a certain extent the articulating portion of the rib. So let's go build up, let's turn on the layers that we're using, or the vertebra that we're using. I'm going to take this face now and I'm going to say extrude. Why is it way over there? Oh, man. So it extruded right on top of there. What I'm doing is moving the extruded face to give me something resembling the end of the rib. So I have this kind of. Now I think we've added too much for this circle to still work. But let's see if we can get the circle to. See, there's a point where because of the editing we're doing, that circle will stop. But what I'm getting at right now is we've created a little bit of a face there to kind of suggest that articulation. We could do the same thing back here, maybe grab this face. I don't know why my Maya is giving me a hard time here, but it's just being ridiculously obnoxious. Maybe we'll just move this one. That's not going to work. Let's try painting the face. Maybe I can get it to paint it. There we go. So that I can get that kind of articulation with the transverse process there. You could do the same thing. You could again say extrude, pull it out. Put it out a little bit. Maybe scale it. It's a little smaller. Kind of suggest that kind of thing. But I think that, that's not really consistent with that flat spot. So we probably would need to get a second face down there. So for right now, I'm just going to change the orientation on this to object and look like it's meeting that way. I don't think it's quite as prominent as you see in a lot of the literature. That articulation there, or that. Trying to get my paintbrush only to pick one thing. That one's also selected. Okay. There you go. So we'll call that articulation there. Now the other end should be much easier because we really don't have anywhere near the articulation isn't as precise or as delicate as where the ribs meet. So I want that last circle, and of course I can't get it, so I'll go to my outliner. And now that we've changed this order, I should know exactly what circle I want. So I can move that circle and put the rib articulating with the sternum in the proper position. Okay. And I forget what rib we're even doing. Are we doing the fifth rib? Let's see. Let's turn on some references and see what the rib is we're doing. So we could got my reference out here, we could get that sternum and the images out of the way real quickly. And maybe I could hide the sternum here. Should be able to do pretty quickly what we just did up top. Take the rib, grab an edge, fill the hole, and then use the multi-cut tool. Or we didn't use the multi-cut, we used the join because the multi-cut was giving us a hard time. So I'm going to click the circle for a second. And choose hide. And now I can take the vertices. And instead of messing around with that multi-cut tool, I just say connect. And the letter G to connect again. It's interesting that it somehow has like an issue with I'm not sure what I have my move on right now. Components, see if we see object. With this, quite honestly, I'm going to bury. I'm not going to try to worry too much. See, so we'll just leave it like that and bury that in the sternum. Now, I'm going to go to another lesson in just a second, so let's take a break here.